So, how are you all? Good. Anyone known giving interview? Anyone known giving interview this year? No? Totally dried. No bhaiya didi log to guide after the class. Bhaiya didi means brother or sister, means so-called seniors. Me? Okay. So, you want to have interaction with the selected person? Yeah. So, it is possible. Let me try. So, there are many. Mridul Shivare, one of my younger brother only. So he's an IS, so he will sometimes will come. Just foundation course over. So it's a phase one. Basically, in Lavasna, the first 4 months is of foundation course, wherein all the services are having this course FC. Then after that, all are dispatched, so-called dispatched to their respective professional academy places, and the IAS only are continuing in Missouri for phase 1, phase 2, and then phase 3. So basically, after phase 1, they are all, after 6 months of phase 1, they are all going for on job training. OJT means 1 year attachment in the district, whatever cadre they are having, state cadre. And then after that, for less than a month or 1.5 months, they come again to Missouri. This is a final phase, and their probation is over. When people are giving repeated exam, they may skip their foundation course. And after that, there is also a concept called as EOL, right? Extraordinary leave. So, because unnecessarily they were disturbing the probationers and the trainers also, because trainers were teaching them in class and they were reading history or geography in the class. In training, means if you are selected as an IPS, and if you need to go for parade in the morning, in afternoon in the PT, and in daytime in the class, and you are reading history, geography, and all, because you need to appear in prelims again. So unnecessarily you are disturbed, you are disturbing other also, entire training module. And some people are just getting artificially faint in the parade ground, so they are admitted in the hospital, then they can be looked after and they can study well. During training in India, actually it is very unfortunate that we are teaching them, but there is nothing new that they can learn. It was actually the UPSC preparation which made them uh, the bureaucrat, right? So you are a would-be bureaucrat in making while you are preparing for civils, but actually it is on-job training which gives you clear idea that what this administration is all about. So in other countries, it's not 4 months. Sometimes it is only 4 days, right? Teachers. So teachers, only 25% teachers are permanent there in the institutions like Academy, Missouri, Hyderabad, Nagpur, Ghaziabad. Training is not of that uh, great use means not bringing any substantial change in you. Adjustment of the budget allotted every year for the new course. So for an IAS, it may be like 75 lakh to 1 CR. So any dignitary coming, Ministry of Personnel, Minister, Secretary. So a special dinner. Then no, that's part of training because the probationers should not get demotivation that they are into service. So they are given best of the best exposure. But when they go to the district, like in Bihar, like in UP, remote area, they don't find, okay, this is the service. No, it is not that. The humble background of the service is not a VIP in itself, this VIP culture, but because the ego hassle between a democrat and the bureaucrat, that is why they have made their outlook very simple. Who? The bureaucrats. Anonymous. The neutrality. Artificially. Now, in personal life, they are very, very colorful. But in Masuri and Lavasna, they are kept colorful so that they are not having any demotivation because after a long phase of hard work, they have achieved something. So that's how it is. But now, that's power that matters. You are getting my point. But if you are showing that you are powerful, then sometimes it is not bringing much desirable color to the power that you will be exercising. It means something like that you need to be smart, but you need not to act smartly. You need to be smart, but you need not to act apparently smartly. Right? So that's how the things are. But all in all, the kind of authority you have, 4 vehicles ahead of you for you as a pilot, and then 4 vehicles behind you to escort your vehicle. What else you need? Yes or no? Red beacon is not no more available. Hmm? And whosoever you want to dismiss them. Not a problem. One signature away, things gone. Right or wrong? So when you get the power, the importance of power evaporates from your mind. Then you search for the moment wherein you feel your individuality. Okay, I am of this age. Not the people who are around me of 60 years and 60 years and I have to behave like the elders as if I am a kind of, you know, deep fatty bureaucrat. Deep fatty bureaucrat, not a fatty bureaucrat, but deep fatty bureaucrat means a person with gravity, with kind of elderhoodness and sainthoodness, kind of detachment. ये दुनिया ये महफिल मेरे काम की नहीं. You understood? This world, this all gathering is of no use for me because I am for the bigger purpose in life. So like Modi ji was saying, I think yesterday in Gujarat, he was inaugurating some camp of a big saint, famous saint in Gujarat. I don't remember the name, but yes, he gave full life in serving the people like that. So I am also doing. You need to do the same. Will you do the same? Will you do the same? No? Means what Modi ji is doing, what other saint did, will or shall we be doing the same? Answer is no, perhaps. Job, status, money, shopping, roaming the world around. This is what is the life, colorful dreams. That is why we are putting so much of effort. And after that, service will get the work done by this or by that means. Anyway, so yesterday we were talking about comparison among the constitutions. Comparison among the constitution simply means that when the Indian constitution was made or framed, we had more than 60 constitutions on table of the world that time, 60. So our constitution is nothing but adopting or adoption of the best practices, the best provisions of the other constitutions of the world. And today also, if we need to understand our fundamental rights, the fundamental concept of parliamentary government, the presidential form of government, the equality principle, right? The other forms of reservation, what can be done at the level of local level, where will you be serving? So until unless you know about the other country administration and the politics, you will not be able to understand it. So for example, the civil servant, do they have right to strike in India? They don't have. Do they have right to make associations? Hmm? Right to make associations. Right to make informal association, family association is allowed in the name of spouse, but not the direct one. So it is not available. Article 19(1)(c), that is making association, and Article 19(1)(a), that is right to strike, because expression in form of strike is also one case. It is there. IPS association is also there. So it is informal in the name of family. So this is not it is only for the peaceful purposes, only for social purpose. Hmm. As IS informal association came up, informal association, not the registered one. Registered one, that like the spouses are part of one registered. In defense also, the the wives or the spouse are the part of that association, not the people who are serving in this, right? You understand this? So informal associations are there, but not the statutory one. Statutory one means the funding will be there, dedicated infrastructure is there, they have rights to represent themselves in the court. It's not that. Lobby is there. Now when we talk about right to strike and right to make association, so right to take part in politics is also possible by civil servants. Hmm? So is there any country that motivate us to allow our civil servant to take part in politics? So you become civil servant, okay, and then after 10 years, because your senior superseded you, means, sorry, your junior superseded you, means your senior junior was given promotion but you were not, so you can go to the politics. If you are able, if you are winning, then you are serving as a minister for 5 years, and if you're not able to win the election again, then you can rejoin your civil service, your seniority also intact, and then you will be getting salary again. This is the model in France. It is good. Yes or no? But hmm, it is not good. Why? Hmm. So in France, In France, separation of power is not followed. The division of power is not there. So democracy and bureaucracy has not much division, right? That is why France is having quasi presidential and quasi parliamentary form of government. Now, when I say quasi parliamentary form of government means limited parliament, means limited legislature. It means there is some other body which also legislate, make laws. You are getting my point. And this body is called as executive. The ministers, the group of ministers make the laws, not the legislature. And this law is called as decree. Is called as decree. That is why it is limited legislature. There in France. Quasi presidential means apart from president, there is prime minister also, who is head of nominated council. Prime minister is there, president is there, president is executive, and prime minister is also executive. And France is having a constitution. In every 12th year, they had a new constitution. And today, whatever the constitution is there in France, it is called as Fifth Republican Constitution. Fifth Republican Constitution. Because there was a question in prelims this year that France has to learn something from India for at least the secular spirit that we have. Not this year, in 2019 or 18. This question was in mains. Now, what was the question this year in the mains examination that compare the presidential election of France and of India? Two questions from France. What if you have been asked to compare the local bodies of India and of France tomorrow, or of civil service, or if there is a question in prelims? Yes or no? Then water. Why France? Yeah. Scav. Hijab. So always there is a motivation. Always there is a motivation. Since a time Calra Bruni and Nicolas Sarkozy were found hand in hand walking on the beach in kind of before marital affair. President Nicolas Sarkozy and President's girlfriend Calra Bruni, the fashion designer. So since that time, the questions have been asked in the UPSC that it is a time that we need to redesign our democratic code, so that we are also a part of modern state. Then there was another episode that Ministry of Observatory is there in France, which is dedicatedly working for secular matters. And there are more than 15 universities which are imparting the degree, giving the degree in secularism. In secularism. Because see, Western secularism concept means what? They are separating themselves from the church, and we are not separating ourselves from the the religious affairs. Why? because I am supporting your religion, your religion, your religion, everyone's religions equally. So I'm not separating myself from either of the religion. But yes, I'm giving you liberty for the religious matter, that okay, it is your individual matter because it is for your inner peace. But when I say that come what may, I am not coming into any religious matters. If you just want to purchase a land, it will be available on the market rate. Now you make the Gurudwara, you make the church, you make the temple, whatever you want to do, you do. But here, tax holidays, beyond the audit, like donations to the temple, should not be allowed. But there it is not. Exemption for religious matter is not there. But here in India it is. It means state is taking part in the religious matter. You recall Article 26? Article 26 is saying that right to manage the religious institutions the way you want, subject to the laws made by the parliament. Religious institutions means what? Temple, mosque. Now, you will not be conducting the worship in open ground. You need an infrastructure. You need a crowd. You will be giving something to eat. You will be making rule that okay, you need to put off your shoes outside. So in church there is no rule like this. Is it so? No, but in temple it is. And there is a dress code. There is a dress code too. Okay, so that's how it is. Observatory means observation. So in France, there was a minister of observatory, Odia Zuli, lady. So she commented that the burkhas, the small window, these are the letter boxes. In the schools, it should not be allowed. So South India also took motivation out of it. Okay, we will not be allowing it. Because French education is famous here. We go to France to have master degrees. Okay, so that is why means there is a continuous link between France and India. But okay, but as part of the so-called syllabus, we have to cover it. Now, fifth, Republican Constitution. Now, apart from this, if you look at this quasi-parliamentary setup, which is limited legislature, the the law making function has been shared by the executive, that they brought the law in form of decree. But the decree and the law made by limited legislature, these are supervised by something called as Constitutional Council, wherein 9-member judges are there, like International Court of Justice. Of course, their recommendation is not binding, but they are de facto analyzer of any law or decree. So it is a judicial watchdog. It is a judicial watchdog because limited legislature, executive degree. Now here comes, this executive degree is part of a broad concept or not? Yes, it is. It is called as delegated legislation. In another chapter, we will be reading about what are the laws: administrative laws, delegated laws, the executive laws, Whiteley councils. We'll understand it. And whatever law we have in India are constitutional laws or parliamentary laws. Parliamentary laws are passed through simple majority, and constitutional laws are through special majority, only by way of amending the constitution. But in France, two-third majority is not there to amend the constitution. It is 60% of the entire legislature. Just a fact only. Now, the constitutional council is there, but when we talk about the court system there, the judicial system, they are having ordinary court and administrative court. Ordinary courts and administrative court, because the civil servants are becoming the executive and they are making the laws. The separation of power is not there, distribution of power is not there, democracy and bureaucracy are intermingled, right? And that is why you look at the nomenclature also, the cabinet secretary here is known as administrative vice minister there in France. Also you must know that the democracy, the minister are part of special service, and the civil servant are part of what is called as regular service. The services, the special service, this is democracy, and the regular service is bureaucracy. You are understanding what I'm saying? Politicians, special service, normal politicians and bureaucrat turned politician both. Yes, merged hai, because that way. Now in the regular service also we have designated service. Designated service is this super scale officers, means after promotion you reach top in the hierarchy. And there is something called as IAS. Here in India, in France, the IAS service is known as elitos. Or the career men. Elitos or career men. You're understanding? Comparison. Now, when we talk about the administrative court and administrative court, why it is so? Because as part of special service or as part of regular service, you may do some official mistake, you may commit some official mistake, and you may commit some personal mistake. Yes or no? So the ordinary court should be there for your personal mistake, and administrative court are there for official mistakes. Now, can there be a conflict between these two courts? Yes. Then there is a in between court called as court of conflict. Court of conflict. And this entire judicial structure is called as droit administrative. Droit administrative. Right, entire structure. Now there can be an independent question that what do you mean by droit administrative? Describe. I'll give you dictation for everything, don't worry. But just I am making a mental map. Did you understand? Droit administrative, wherein ordinary court, the administrative court, and in between court of conflict. ऑफिशियल दोनों के लिए है. यस. हाँ. नॉर्मल सिटीजन्स के लिए ऑर्डनरी कोर्ट, नॉट द रेगुलर कोर्ट. Ordinary citizen can go. Yes. Court means the appeal is also there against them and against them in court of conflict. Appeal is also there. What? To an extent, somewhat, to an extent, but ordinance permanent नहीं होता, then it has to be again approved by the parliament. But yes, somewhat link he is having, so that's way, yeah, because president is an executive. Decrease there, yeah, decrease there. That is why the constitutional supremacy is not that way that we have in India. France is more central than UK, more central than UK. When we look at the local self government, the local self government in UK is called, sorry, in France is called as centralized local government, not the local self government. Because the panchayat and municipalities like bodies here in India are governed by the state, but there in France by the center, by the center, right? Now, if you look at the local government structure there in France, then it is centralized local government. Centralized local government, not the local self government. There are 18 regions in France, like we have states here in India. The regions have been divided into what? The departments. The departments have been further divided into arrondissement. Arrondissement is nothing but the administrative unit. This is a new name, that is why I have written here region and department, one and the same thing. What we have here in India as a state is called as region in France, right? The departments basically in between district and state. So states have been divided into departments and department have been divided into arrondissement. Hmm? Council d'État is there. In French it is called as, it's a different spelling of in France. Apex, right? Now after arrondissement, the arrondissement have been divided into cantons. This is also for the territorial division, like what we have wards here. Ward, you know, WARD, local level election in municipalities and all, the areas are divided into wards. And for even judicial and army administration, cantons are used, and they are having the head like prefect. Prefect is a word common for Japan and France both. Prefect in English means what? Standard. In college also, sorry, in school also you had prefect or not? Who was prefect there in college, school? So what were you doing there as a prefect? Yeah, so yeah. So monitors monitor. Monitors monitor. So all the sections of a class there is a common prefect. So there are prefect in France. Now the cantons are further divided into communes. Communes. This commune is nothing but village or city or municipality in common in France, because it is a central structure, geographically not that extensive or not that diverse what Indian geography is, from north to south or from east to west. Okay, so after your selection probably you will be taken definitely to France. Yeah, It's a very beautiful place. नहीं सारे एरिया घुमाएंगे वहाँ पे बस रहती है बढ़िया वाली बहुत अच्छी वाली मीन्स अ गुड बस government's one they are having means for the local area good budget is there don't worry no arrondissement and canton both are administrative units administration unit and not exactly they are having any kind of infrastructure like council of minister here but the cabinet is there but the council of minister is a notional concept right so in that sense arrondissement and cantons are for administration purpose but communes prefect departments they are the political unit region political unit right region department they are these are political unit number 1 number 2 then number 3 these are for administration cantons no arrondissement is not a territorial unit canton is the territorial unit because it works as ward just to understand the area and the kind of organization for booth for elections arrondissement ka arrondissement is headed by sub prefect sorry now what do we mean by arrondissement here that it is an administrative unit it is having a link with center and it is linking the commune why have center because the fund the reporting for the laws and all everything is done at the arrondissement level understood the new nomenclature only so from class I took you to France short flight no so can we take one line about it and then we'll continue and also when we talk about civil services there in France the open recruitment is there post 1945 but before that we had a concept called as sale of office means after the retirement the vacant positions were sold off through the bidding process through the bidding process the the positive side of the story that French people says that lots of finance we could gather out of the sale of the offices the particular loyalty was we were able to ensure then corporatization means the injecting private practices in the government sector was also possible but the negative side of the story it is just not less than a spoiled system because sale of office was also possible through gift and inheritance but it has been replaced by bringing a body called as École National Administration ENA located in Paris पेरिस भी घुमा लाया मैं आपको ENA means UPSC here in India yeah वो फंड में होगा अपने नेशनल फंड मीन्स लाइक कंसोलिडेटेड फंड हेयर patronage it is patronage service that's it that is why it is belonging it today also in France even after recruitment the elite class people are found in bureaucracy why ENA is still imparting pre-training to the aspirants and there is a small test and of course the people who are from good family are coming to know about this program and are taking into it, are taken into it. Here in India, Ministry of Social Justice is anyway giving some fund to some of the institutes so that from the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, even from OBC and from minorities, some, you know, classes can be imparted to them. So, for example, in Jamia Millia Islamia, there is one RCA. Ministry of Minority. So, AMU also. Jambu, Lucknow. I have gone to give the classes. That is why I know the internal structure also. In AMU, I went for seminar, taking one seminar. So very comfortable, big, acha wala, good infrastructure, hostel and all fine. Everything, good fund, adjustment. But at least you are getting an accommodation comparatively better. That is why all the veterans after 2 3 attempts they give the exam and they anyhow get into the premises and they are there for 1 year. So the rank 1 of this year, she was also a student there. It means not only the minority, but Article 29 says that the admission will not be denied in any of the minority institution only on the basis of religion, race, caste, gender, or place of birth. That is why anyone can also give the exam. Okay. Hmm? Okay, that's so. पता नहीं, but you must be correct. But I met a person because one of my senior friend, Mr. Tariq, he was a director. So he was when we both were sitting and one of the student came. He was having different title, not from the minority but from Hindu. Oh, SC are also allowed there. Okay, good. Now Lok Sabha in France is called as National Assembly, and the Rajya Sabha is called as Senate there in France. How many seats are there in the National Assembly there in the France? 577. 577 and 348 seats are there in the Senate. But the term is same. 6 years, 5 years. The election system that we follow there, Rajya Sabha, upper house, nahi, it is not dissolvable. Yeah, it continues. Then the president here in India is elected through proportional representation system. But there in France, because it is quasi presidential system, so executive president is there. So one is elected through direct election. But in direct election, first past the post system is not followed. Two ballot system is followed. I told you about two ballot system, and I also told you that election commission has also recommended, law commission has also recommended, Even NCRCWC has also recommended. National Commission for Working of Review of the Constitution has also recommended. But it is time consuming. But still, money will be saved because next fresh general election will be avoided. Having election within election is fine for lesser of candidate, number of candidate. You are getting the point? Direct election president. Okay, 5 years and only 2 terms. Only 2 terms. Only 15 chapters, one preamble, 92 articles in France. That's it. And a good country. So we can write one line about. We will study, not worry. We will study, but it is of no use, but for information, yeah. Sometimes. Oh, one second. They may ask because comparison among constitution means any constitution of the world. But then the current affairs. We'll discuss it, but not fundamentally, but as part of current affairs. So please write French Constitution. It is a unitary, comma rigid, unitary, rigid, and written constitution of 1958 with a preamble comma 15 chapters and 92 articles in it. 92 articles in it that provides for quasi QUASI. Quasi means semi or half. Quasi presidential and quasi parliamentary system with following features. Number one, France is more unitary than Britain as there is no division of power and even local bodies local bodies make dash break is done by center The number two, make and break means creation and abolition. Make dash break is done by center. The number two, it provides for a directly elected strong president for 5 years term with a nominated council headed by PM, headed by PM, who is responsible to the parliament, responsible to the parliament. The number third factor, bicameral legislature, bicameral, bicameral means two house. Bicameral legislature has National Assembly as lower house, National Assembly as lower house of 577 members with 5-year term, 5-year term, comma, and a Senate, and a Senate as upper house of 348 members indirectly elected, for 6-year term, elected for 6 years term. Okay, then next point, fourth point, there is limited legislature, there is limited legislature in France as a strong executive, as a strong executive can also make laws, can also make laws known as executive decrees, known as executive decrees, DECREES. And fifth, to keep a close watch, to keep a close watch on these decrees and laws, comma, there is a constitutional council of 9-member judges acting as a judicial watchdog, is an advisory body, okay. Then sixth point, after 1962, president is elected directly, through two ballot system, ballot system for 5-year term, and may have maximum two terms, that is 10 years. Then seventh point, France is called as administrative state, or civil service state because of strong civil service, because of strong civil service. Then eighth point, sale of office concept, sale of office concept for recruitment, for recruitment of civil service was changed in 1946, was changed in 1946 by bringing UPSC like body called as ENA. UPSC like body called as ENA, that is École Nationale d'Administration, École Nationale d'Administration, NATIONALE in French, administration, located in Paris, located in Paris. We'll stop in the same point. ENA provides pre-entry coaching to the aspirants to the aspirants to TOO. The ninth point, 1959 onwards, 1959 onwards, civil servants were given right to strike. Civil servants were given right to strike and right to make associations. Full stop. They have political rights, and they can contest election with right to join back civil service after serving as elected representative. After serving as elected representative. Then 10th point, there is unique judicial pattern. There is unique judicial pattern in France. Called as droit administrative. Droit administrative. DROIT ADMINISTRATIF administrative, wherein dual court hierarchy of ordinary judicial courts and administrative courts is found with court of conflict in between in the same point. Administrative court are more for executive degree led wrongdoings, led wrongdoings which is part of official mistakes, which is part of wrongdoings, sorry, which is part of official mistakes. Full stop. For personal act, ordinary codes are available. Ordinary codes are available. Decisions of administrative codes. Decisions of administrative codes cannot be challenged in ordinary court. Ordinary court. Then council dictate, that is that is council of state is apex administrative court. Administrative court, right? Then next point, 12th point, 12th or 13th point, hmm? 11th point. Local government is in France. Local government in France is not self-government. In France is not self-government, but it is centralized local government. But it is centralized local government, and it is headed by Minister of Interior. Minister of Interior, Interior. Full stop. It means France. It has 18 regions like states in India. 18 regions like Indian states, and they have elected councillors, 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 headed by internally decided chairman or president, headed by internally decided chairman or president, assisted by a CEO. The next point, regions are further subdivided into departments headed by a prefect, appointed by a French president, full stop. Prefect has dual role. Prefect has a dual role to play as head of the department, and as representative of center, So prefect is pivot of pivot, pivot of French administrative system at local level, at local level. Full stop. Below departments, next point, below departments, there are two purely administrative units. There are purely two administrative units, namely, namely arrondissement, namely arrondissement, headed by a sub prefect, headed by a sub prefect, and canton, and canton, headed by elected councillors, headed by elected councillors. Let's stop. Arrondissement is for, arrondissement is for administrative assistance, administrative assistance to department, to department, whereas canton act as, whereas canton act as wards, 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 or territorial unit, unit for elections, elections, and for army as well as judiciary administration, army as well as judiciary administration. Full stop. Cantons are followed by, are followed by communes, 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 like villages in India. Full stop. It has elected councillors, it has elected councillors headed by, headed by a mayor, mayor with dual role for center or for communes. For communes. He is like German. He is like German burgomaster. German's burgomaster. Right? This is what we have for France. German burgomaster and this councillor is one and the same thing, but British mayor is very powerful. Okay, Indian mayor we don't know. Ceremonial. वो तो de facto तो head वही है, but mayor if it is, if mayor is powerful, influential, has more property, then perhaps municipal commissioner may not be able to dominate him, because in our constituency one of the mayor is very influential. He takes Good stunt. Hmm. Hmm. Actually, political cult and bureaucratic cult, both are very, very different. When you get into politics, you will start hating bureaucracy. Hating not in that sense, but yes, you need to counter them. Because in India, of course, but we have semi politicized bureaucracy. Semi politicized bureaucracy. Now, Japanese constitution. Did you get something yesterday? The PDF handwritten wala. So, Japan constitution, it has a preamble, it has 11 chapters, and it has 103 articles in number. The Japan constitution is also known as Showa constitution or MacArthur constitution. General MacArthur. Showa constitution in the name of the emperor and PM that time, Hirohito and Shidehara. Shidehara. Showa. And SHOWA. Showa means what? The flag bearer of peace, radiant of peace. Showa constitution. Then why General MacArthur constitution? Because after Second World War, when Japan had the little boy attack, little boy means the nuclear bomb, Japan renunciated war, renounced that we will not be having any of the armed forces, army, navy, or air force. But it doesn't mean that they are having self-defense force. They have, but they're not into war kind of thing. They may have proxy armed forces. Proxy means maybe US has pledged to give them protection till the time immemorial, right? US. So they pay the rent. Japan pay the rent to the US. This is what proxy is. So in that sense, Australia also. The colonial era. Many of the colonies were of America, of Europe, Western countries. Imperialism is all about making good colonies imperialist. Now, when we talk about the Japanese constitution, like France, it is also rigid, it is also unitary, and it is also a written constitution. But it is not that centralized or not that, you can say, rigid the way or unitary the way French constitution is, Japanese constitution. Now, Japanese constitution has equally borrowed things from American constitution as well as from British constitution. It has parliamentary form of government, fully, not quasi, parliamentary form of government. Now, if we talk about the judicial review and fundamental rights in Japan, it has been taken from America. When we talk about parliamentary form of government, it has been taken from Britain, right? Now, if we talk about the legislature in Japan, it is called as Diet, DIET, not Diet Pepsi. Okay. Now, if we talk about the legislative structure in Japan, it is also bicameral structure like India or of France that we have discussed. For that matter, UK and US both are having bicameral structure. Now, in the bicameral structure, the lower house is known as House of Representative. In US also lower house is called as House of Representative. But when we talk about the upper house is called as House of Councillors, HOC. House of Councillors, but in US it is known as Senate. In UK it is known as Lords. If we talk about the strength of the lower house, it is 512, and of the upper house it is 252, 252 in Japan. Now, if we talk about bureaucracy in Japan, arrived changing spoil system, like the way US had the spoil system, Japan had the spoil system 1885, and we have Weberian model of bureaucracy in Japan. Now, Weberian model, Max Weber. In India also we have Weberian model of bureaucracy. Weberian model of bureaucracy means legal rational bureaucracy. We don't have traditional or charismatic or laissez-faire bureaucratic model. We have legal rational. Traditional means the one who is looking like a bureaucrat will be given such post. No. Who has followed the code of conduct, code of ethics without any failure should be given the bureaucratic structure or stature. So it is not possible. Charismatic means the one who is having magical effect in the personality like Amitabh Bachchan. Not possible. Charismatic and traditional things are more followed in the democratic structure in India. Right? Now, if we talk about the UPSC like body in Japan, it is called as NPA. National Personal Administration. Now, NPA is equal to not only UPSC, but it is equal to UPSC plus Ministry of Personnel plus Labasna. Why? NPA will recruit you. NPA will give you a particular service. Ministry of Personnel. Ministry of Personnel is doing what? Receiving the list from UPSC, then selecting some of the IAS, then sending the list to Ministry of Home Affairs for IPS and for Ministry of External Affairs for Foreign Service. Oh, yes. Then Labasna, the foundation training. In Japan, the foundation training is only of 4 days. And all the senior civil servants in Japan are training their juniors. Training their juniors. And after 4 days, they are sent for OJT, on job training. In Japan, the education service is the most reputed service. There are 4 levels of education services, and the government teachers are civil servants there. That is why the education system there in India, so sorry, there in Japan is best, one of the best as far as the uh, values creation part is concerned of education. What values we shall we be inculcating in the students that we get in future, means you guys get in future. So what value you will like to impart? Scientific temperament for more research and development, that is fundamental duty. Hmm. Hmm. So the values are created maybe like in Hindu side of the story, when we see some of the best schools, then we find Arya Samaj school. Hmm? Arya Samaj schools are good. Hmm? Or Kasturba Gandhi schools in Gujarat. No, they don't know. The fund. Hmm. Hmm. Navodaya Vidyalaya is good concept. Navodaya Vidyalaya education is in parity with competitive exams, as at least civil service exam. Up till 12th class, you will be able to know everything. Good history, good geography. Like it up till 10th class, maybe you are not that comfortable in chemistry or physics, but you are very well confident about the GS and GK part, right? Navodaya Vidyalaya education. Arya Samaj is not a religion. Hmm. Hmm. Sect. Hmm. What about Sainik school and army schools? Hmm? डिसिप्लिन के लिए अच्छा है. So in prayers, what do they sing? Hindi motivated anthem or songs, or Christianity motivated? No, no song. In prayer, what do they do? Hmm? Don't know. So the valor songs, we the soldiers, valor, VALOUR, Veer Gathaएं, like Plato's education, at least as far as the killing of emotions are concerned at the childhood phase. It is good. So you are not interested in seeing family drama movies and serials, but the action movies, the kind of futuristic movies. Yes or no? But now Chota Bheem, value creation. You know Chota Bheem? You know? Yeah. And before that, Mickey Mouse. No, no, Tom and Jerry. Hmm? Tom and Jerry is also imparting some values. Yeah, cohabitation is possible between two enemies. Huh? What value? Siblings. Ah, so cohabitation is possible. Laissez faire. Laissez faire means Ande Nagri Chopat Raja means you don't know anything. I also don't know anything as a senior or as a leader. So everyone is doing whatever they want. Okay. So it is negative side, but positive side means I am also confident that you can do things better. So I have left things on you that you can do things. Now, if we talk about the constitutional monarchy in Japan, it is relatively more active in comparison to the British monarchy. British monarch is totally in the dormant state. But Japan, because emperor is not an age old story, right? So that is why when the conflict is there between uh, the two houses, or when any interpretation of the constitution is required, then emperor is presiding over such meetings. So that's how the emperor is not that passive as far as Japanese administration and democracy is concerned, right? Now, what discussion I had in the French constitution for the special service, for designated service, and for the regular service is also applied in case of Japan, right? No, separation of power is applicable in Japan. But no, in that sense, that separation of power means executive, legislature, and judiciary. The executive in Japan is not making a law, right? But when we talk about the special service and designated service, here in Japan, in comparison to France, what happens that the designated services and the special services are part of the senior scale and junior scale in Japan. Means it is within the bureaucracy. The democracy is not coming in pictures in Japan. But in France, the special service is part of democracy, right? Because of the separation of power is there, but yes, the shared setup, administrative setup is there in Japan. Okay. So we can take one line about. What about court? Court is similar to the Indian judiciary, common law system in Japan. Delegated administrative law. See, the common law include the interpretation of the judiciary also, right? You are talking in terms of political science, the categorization. I am talking in terms of administration. The delegated legislation is not part of constitutional law and common law that you are talking. That is a different story, the categorization of law. It has. No, actually, in UK we have something called as Whiteley councils. Whiteley council ये अभी आएगा. So what we have here is tribunals, right? Now in France, what we saw, administrative court. Why? Because of decree, the executive legislation. Why do we have Whiteley council in Britain? Why? Because Britain is a centralized structure and the private sector is equally sharing the public services responsibilities. What does it mean? What we have PSUs here in form of public private partnership, the public sector undertakings means if we have purchased Tata, the government 51%. So Tata is now a PSU. ONGC is a PSU. Yes or no? Titan watch. Titan watch is of Tata, right? But if the government is willing to purchase it, then it can. Now, for example, Air India, the government was willing to sell at least 49 stakes, 49% stakes. I am not updated with what percentage it has sold so far. 49. Complete. Completely sold. To whom? Air India. When? So it is all Vistara now. 100% है. Oh, I was not updated with. So, for example, the private company is becoming government or vice versa. Both the cases are there. So in UK, this is the structure, but actually this structure is of, in general, capitalism. Yes or no? Now extremely capitalism value is followed in US, wherein public sector is not there in picture, private sector is there in picture. That is why the independent judiciary is the, sorry, the judicial review is the fundamental feature in US, whereas independent judiciary is the fundamental feature in UK. Independent judiciary is fundamental feature in UK. Judicial review is fundamental feature in US. Both are different. Independent judiciary means it is part of separation of power. But US is having separation of power but not having independent judiciary the way UK is having. See how contradictory it is. Yes. Uh, Not fully. Not means the selection part is done by the judiciary itself in US, but further the president is just signing. No, president discretion is not there. In US, president discretion is not there. Hmm. Hmm. So I tell you, when the recommendation is going to the president to sign, so president's discretionary power is not there that I will be appointing this person as a judge. But with it is within judiciary, like the way we are doing in as part of collegium system, right? So president is not appointing because president has to take the advice from the government. It is not the discretionary power. But there in US, the president is not having discretionary power to appoint the person of his choice as judge. But yes, president can stop, can delay, can linger on the appointment of a particular recommended name as a judge. Judiciary select करती है. Otherwise, judicial review cannot be that independent. Means judiciary cannot be independent, that is a different thing, but judicial review cannot be that strong. बाकी रीजंस क्या है? बाकी रीजंस तो ये हैं कि द प्रेसिडेंट इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ लेजिस्लेचर. नाउ हु विल मेक द लॉ फॉर द जुडिशरी? हु विल increase the salary of the judges? It is what? The legislature, right? That is why president can be dominated over by the legislature, means the congress in US, and president can be impeached by the legislature, but judiciary is also coming in picture. Means US judiciary as well as legislature both can impeach the president. Now please write something about Japanese constitution. It is also known as Showa, 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 that is radiant of peace, radiant, Radiant, radiant of peace, in the name of, in the name of the then emperor, the then emperor Hirohito, Hirohito, and PM Prime Minister Shidehara, Shidehara, in 1947. In 1947, it is a unitary. It is a unitary, comma comma rigid constitution, rigid constitution with parliamentary form of government, with parliamentary form of government. Full stop. It has following features. It has following features. Number one, it has a constitutional monarchy like UK. It has a constitutional monarchy like UK. And number two, constitution is supreme. Constitution is supreme. Unlike UK, where parliament is supreme. The next point, judicial review and fundamental rights. Judicial review and fundamental rights in Japan are based on American concept. Based on American concept. Then fourth point, Japanese constitution renounces, renounces war, so it has no armed forces. It has no armed forces of its own. Full stop. Japan is the only state. Japan is the only state to do so constitutionally. Full stop. General MacArthur got this provision inserted. Got this provision inserted. Full stop. So it is also known as MacArthur Constitution. MacArthur Constitution. The next point, it has bicameral legislature. It has bicameral legislature named as diet, 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 consisting of House of Representative, as lower house with 512 members, comma, and House of Councillors, 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 as lower house with 252 members, sorry, as upper house with 252 members in it. The next point, Japan has Weberian German model of bureaucracy, Weberian German model of bureaucracy, organized as American Civil Services. American Civil Services. In 1885, open recruitment was introduced. Open recruitment was introduced to replace a spoil system in Japan. In Japan. The next point, NPA, that is National Personal Authority, PERSONNEL, personal means employees. National Personal Authority is a statutory body that looks after recruitment, training and management of civil services. Civil services. So NPA is a combination of UPSC, MOP and Lavasna. MOP means Ministry of Personnel and Lavasna in India. IPA, Institute of Public Administration, located in Tokyo. Public Administration, IPA, located in Tokyo, conduct the training for civil servants. Civil servant. Okay. Now, civil service in Japan is known as regular service. Whereas democratic elected representatives are known as a special service group, The next point, the highest services is known as designated service, like All India service in India, like All India services in India. The civil service post is known as the highest civil service post is known as administrative vice minister, like cabinet secretary here in India. Administrative vice minister like cabinet secretary here in India. The next point, government teachers in Japan are civil servants. Government teachers in Japan are civil servants, and there are four levels of educational services. There are four levels of educational services. IAS service is known as careerman. This word I have dropped in French Constitution while discussing it. Careerman and elitos, elitos. The next point, training in IPA is of 4 days. IPA is of 4 days as against of 4 month, as against of 4 months in Lavasna in India. Lavasna in India as against 4 months. Okay, so IPA is subset of NPA, right? Controlled by NPA only. So Lavasna, and thereafter on-job training for 1 year is imparted. And thereafter on-job training for 1 year is imparted. As against 4 months in Lavasna in India, comma, and thereafter on-job training for 1 year is given. The next point, Japan is divided into 46 prefectures, prefect, URES, prefectures, which are further subdivided into cities, town and villages as part of local government. Cities, town and villages as part of local government. List of prefectures. Prefectures are like Indian states, are like Indian states, and it has a governor, it has a governor and single house legislature, single house legislature. The next point, Japanese constitution has a preamble for my 11 chapters and 103 articles. 103 articles. Okay. One preamble, 11 chapters and 103 articles. That's it. Okay. आज तो ये दो ही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन रखते हैं, है ना? और पढ़ना है? अच्छा। हम्म? पूरा अभी नहीं खत्म हो पाएगा। हाँ तो कल परसों में खत्म हो पाएगा। ब्रेक के बाद हाँ कर सकते हैं। नहीं ब्रेक के बाद नहीं ना, some of the like equal energy level is not there. Momentum तो break हो जाता है, no doubt. Because yesterday I gave you 9 pages around PDF. 15 pages it was. So it is all about the comparisons, and this is exclusive apart from the 15 pages. Okay. There are smaller constitutions of Australia or of Germany, of South Africa. South African constitution is there in NCRT book, beautifully written, or 2 pages. And we have of even German constitution, right? Nepal constitution is one, even Sri Lankan and Pakistan constitution. We don't know that, they may ask it. Okay, and UK as well as American administrative system we have to discuss, right? So UK and administrative US administrative system will require more time, so that we will be doing tomorrow. But about the German, about the Nepal, about the Sri Lanka, about other constitutions we can discuss today. ठीक है? You have the energy. Okay. But what I feel that I need a break. Hmm? Hmm? After the break. Okay. ठीक है. So after the break we will be discussing, but I'll not be giving you any dictation. Dictation is required. नहीं तो नींद आती है. रिवीजन ज़्यादा होता रहता है. Hmm. There is no PDF. Dictation is fine because our, uh, you know, uh, we are engaged in doing some task, not only listening. So after break we meet again. Okay.